Welcome, everybody, to the London Comic-Con 2019 in our brand new venue. And I just want to welcome to the stage two amazing actors. You probably know them best from X-Files, the cigarette-smoking man, and of course, director Skinner. And of course, they've been in lots of great shows, Supernatural, and of course, Shocker, the movie, if everybody's a Shocker fan. And anyway, just welcome to London, Ontario, and great having you. And if somebody has a question right out the gate.
No, I want you to ask this question.
Fine, okay, I will.
Do your job, man. Come on,
right.
let's go.
Fair enough.
Sit down.
My first, my first question to you guys is: how surprised were you when you found out that X-Files was going to be rebooted temporarily, and then it turned out to be two instances of? Were you? Did you know kind of? Oh, we could come back again and do this, or was it just kind of like, okay, after season 9, that was it? Like you'd never.
Well, 13 years later, we would have thought that was it at the end of 9. But I mean, because of platforms like Netflix and showing the show and then finding out, meeting kids that are like 10 years old that are binge watching the show. It's so we're on like a third generation of fans of the X-Files. So it's the fact that it maintained its popularity through all those years. I think that lent itself to them bringing the show back.
I was not surprised at all. And I'll tell you why I wasn't surprised. It's because of you. The fans kept telling me every time I kept going to these things, there's going to be a movie. There's going to be a third movie. It was usually a movie we thought was going to happen. But there was so much talk that something was going to happen. I mean, I was delighted and unexpected, but yeah, I was not totally blindsided by it because the fans laid the groundwork for it.
Right on. Now, you're also, I brought it up earlier, but you're in American Horror Story 1984. You're in a couple of episodes, but it seems like
not an American Horror Story. He's a nice man. What do you mean?
That's my wife.
Usually, anybody that works with that crew usually comes back again. So hopefully, we'll.
We'll see. I did a couple of episodes, and with Ryan Murphy, a lot of time you do see the same cast brought back in future episodes. So we'll see what happens with it. I don't know if they have any more plans for the character the rest of the season. But getting my foot in the door was nice to be able to do that.
Right on. Does anybody have a question at all? There's the microphone up there. I can walk over to you with this mic here, and then you can ask a question.
This is a very serious question. Go ahead.
Okay, first of all, I just have to say I am the biggest fan of you two. I saw your work in the X-Files. It was absolutely amazing. And
Thank
actually,
you.
if you remember, I was the guy who said hi to both of you. But I'm
Recognize you.
I'm a really big fan of your work. This is a dream come true for me. So
Well, thank you. That's very sweet for you to say that.
So my question for you is, well, actually, I'm going to direct this one at William B. Davis. What was your favorite episode of The X-Files?
I used to say Talitha Kumi, which was
Yeah.
season 4, I think. I've lost track
3.
now. Was it?
Yeah, I think it was.
So you guys know so much more about the show than we do. It's sick.
But it was quite fun. It had a lot of nice things in it, including flirting with Mrs. Mulder and
you getting
setting the seeds for, well,
you getting dragged against the wall by Fox Mulder.
But I think ultimately my favorite episode was the opening episode of the second reboot, which was kind of about my character. And I had that great speech at the beginning that, well, the great speech that I memorized because I thought we were going to do it on camera, and then we ended up doing it off camera and doing it as a reading. But never mind, it was really fun.
He's not bitching.
And sorry, just one more question for you. about the season 10 opener. So you had a tracheotomy in the season 10 opener, but in season 11, it was gone. What was that all about?
Amazing things happen on the X-Files. You'd have to, well...
Oh, I don't know.
Should I try to find a good reason? I mean, it was really boring having to talk like this and pretend you couldn't talk properly and to do that. So I think we just thought, somehow that got better. Somehow that got repaired. Some alien healing occurred. But yeah, it was going to be just detrimental.
Well, he was also hit in the face by a cruise missile, so, you know.
Yeah, I survived that. So, you know, if you can survive that, you can survive a tracheotomy. Why not?
Shoot.
Guys, thank you so much for taking your questions. You are both acting legends, and it was a pleasure to get to talk to each of you. So thank you very much.
That's very sweet.
And
Thank you.
please
Thank you
keep
for the
doing-
questions. Thank you.
Does anybody else have a question out there? Okay, let me get all the way back here. I'll try to hustle.
I was just wondering, what do you think are your best episodes that weren't about the government conspiracy, or like their own standalone episodes? What do you think were the best ones?
I was a big fan of Home, so that was always that's always one that kind of grabbed me, and it's because that's how sick I am. But Clyde Bruckman's Final Repose was wonderful too, because Peter Boyle was just phenomenal. And if you watch the outtakes from it, it's pretty hilarious. Some of the stuff that transpired between he and Jillian and David. Yeah, those are ones that I liked.
Was the question about our standalone episodes? Because I don't think
Oh.
I didn't have any standalone episodes.
Good enough.
But in this first reboot, there's this curious one where everything is reversed and the werewolf is turning into a human. What was that episode?
The Mandela Effect, was that?
Yeah, is that it?
Well, there was one about the Mandela Effect. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, thank you.
Anyway,
With Camille.
Anyway, it was fun. I really liked that. But yeah, the standalone episodes, they were all right, you know.
See, I prefer the standalones.
Okay.
Lots of people did. But if they'd
But
only
he's
done,
a cigarette smoking
if,
man.
if
and
they'd
I'm
only done
Skinner, so-
standalone episodes, I wouldn't have been sitting here.
Well, I was going to say one of my favorite ones, I forget what it was called, was the one when there were like bugs in trees for 500 years that the loggers cut down. They come out at night and kill people. I thought that was really awesome.
What was that? Darkness Falls?
Possibly.
See, I knew that. I didn't hear them say that. I got all that stuff in my head.
I should have done a little research before I came.
No, it is. It's crazy. People come up and ask us questions, and you know the answers to them before, and we don't. So it's a little embarrassing, but we'll make something up.
All right, I've got another question. What's the weirdest X-Files episode that you were involved in? Like when you watched it afterwards, you had the script, whatever, you're just like, whoa, this is the weirdest, and it takes a lot for weird to be on the X-Files, but the one that was like, okay, Home, I'm sure, is one of them. That was pretty crazy, but like, do you remember just going, what are we doing here? This one.
Fluke Man was that the name of the episode? Fluke Man? The host. Thank you. With the Fluke Man. That was, watching Darren Morgan, who's one of our best writers on the show, running around in that outfit was pretty hilarious.
Well, for me, the weirdest episode to do, this is more as an actor, was Musings of a Cigarette Smoking Man, because it was so bizarre, so unusual, so different from the storyline and narrative that we had been progressing through. That how do you as an actor fit these things together? And I learned some interesting things about acting, because I learned that all you have to do as an actor is you have to have a backstory that works for what you have to do. And I used to think that you needed a backstory that worked for the character as a whole. But when I did Musings, I realized I only need a backstory for this particular scene, because it may not fit with another scene in the same episode. And then I realized I only have to have a backstory for each shot. So long as I have a backstory for each shot, it looks like it all goes together. I don't know. Have I disillusioned you all now?
I'm confused. One more question is now with you guys work you've done a couple of projects together. I know, so I don't know if you weren't on the same episode, but you did Supernatural separate episodes. But I thought that was kind of cool there. And do you do a lot of? I know you do a lot of work out of Vancouver. There is that where you live and reside?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. You're from the States, but you seem to do a lot of you up here in Canada.
Well, there's right now there's from what I understand, I just got done shooting 2 episodes of Supergirl, and,
right on.
And it was a lot of fun. I had a great time. It was a great group of people to work with. But there's over 40 productions shooting in Vancouver right now, from what I understand. And my daughter is in special effects makeup, and she's half Canadian. So she can work up here. So
dual citizenship.
She's moving to Vancouver because she's. It's like I took her out to Toby Lindala, who did the special effects for us on the X-Files, and is doing special effects on almost everything in town right now in Vancouver. And so she got to go out and tour his shop, and he basically said, "Come on up, we'll get you to work." So I'm very excited about that.
Great.
Anybody have a question out there? Okay, we do have a live mic. There we go.
There we go. Thanks for coming to London, guys. It's great to see you.
You bet.
I kind of have 2 questions. First one being, do you believe? And second one being, how do you feel about the storming of Area 51? Are you guys on board with that?
I believe.
I don't believe.
Area 51. It's like I don't know why. Why are they doing that? I don't get it. I don't think they should. No, it's my opinion.
Attempt 1 was a fail anyway. So if they try to,
I don't even know what's going on there.
They're trying to storm Area 51 by getting a bunch of people together and to run like a cartoon character named Naruto, I believe, and which is hands behind your back, just running full force towards Area 51.
Good luck.
Thinking that, because they could use lethal force, rubber bullets, whatever. So it didn't. I think they got a little scared and decided to have somewhat of a desert party, is what it turned out to be.
Well, that's okay, But yeah, it's like rushing the place.
But in terms of believe, I've always been a skeptic in principle. I have a degree in philosophy from just down the road at the University of Toronto. So I'm always casting doubt, whatever it is. But it's a strange business as being an actor, because people kind of assume that we do these things because we believe in them. And I assume the A-list actors perhaps do. They go through a whole list of things and go, oh, I think I'll do that one. They have that luxury. But there are some of us, we got a part. Let's go. It's about aliens? Oh, my God. That's never going to go. But anyway, let's try it anyway. So here we are in a show about alien abduction, and people would come up to me and assume that I believed in all these things. They'd give me the latest information on Area 51. They'd invite me out to skywalks and so on. And I said, finally I would say, I don't really believe in this stuff. And they say, you don't? And I said, well, the onus is on you to prove that it exists. I can't prove that it doesn't exist. And so they said, but we have proven that it exists. Oh. Well, to be honest, I didn't know what their proof was. So then I had to go and do a lot of research, which I did, and eventually got involved with an organization called PsyCop, Committee for Scientific Investigation of Claims of the Paranormal, which is now just called Committee for Scientific Inquiry. But they would look at a lot of these things and really study them and reveal a lot of whatever science could produce in relation to these issues. So it was a pretty fascinating time, but I ended up still being a non-believer.
One of these days, we're going to come into one of these things, and you're going to like blow my mind by saying that you've changed your opinion on that, and I'm going to faint.
Well, that'd be a good exercise, and you could come in saying, no, I've decided it's all bullshit.
Let's do that sometime. Let's do one of these and just like completely switch our.
Okay, we're on.
We'll bullshit everybody.
Anybody else got? Oh, okay. Well, there we go. We got one there, and you'll be next.
Hello, I was just wondering something similar to the Area 51 thing, but are there any conspiracies that you two believe in or that you put some credence into? Or any you explored on the show as well?
There's so many conspiracies to choose from. It's like, I don't even know what to say about this world anymore.
Well, I have a lot to say to that question if he doesn't want to say anything. I don't believe in conspiracies normally. I don't believe, I don't think there was a conspiracy to kill Kennedy and blah, 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 all that stuff. But where there is unquestionably a conspiracy, and it's been well proven, is the money and effort that has been put together and the think tanks and the university departments that have been set up to diminish belief in climate change. And that is a really serious problem.
Thank you.
Hi. You both are absolutely fantastic. And was the ship that you were on in Stargate, was that the Daedalus? Yes. And you wrote directed and produced a short film called Daedalus?
Oh, yeah, well. It was actually my wife, who's just down beside you, who actually wrote and created it. I did do the actual direction, but it was actually her concept called we pronounced it Daedalus, but same thing. Yeah.
I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about Daedalus.
Oh, give her the microphone. No.
You're on the spot.
Come on, girl, get after it.
No. She's bowing out.
It's a mystery.
Anybody got a question out there? There we go.
Hello. Was there ever a character in your career that you turned down? Like it was someone came up to you and said, we want you to play this character, and you said no.
Sure. Yeah.
Did you regret any?
No. No, there've been a number of things that especially recently, I've started kind of paring down the stuff that because for a while there I was doing stuff that I look back on and I go, why did I do that? But it's like when it comes down to it, we play dress up and make believe for a living and get paid well for it. And I've been very, very fortunate in my career. So now I'm saying no to quite a bit of stuff. I'm not going to say specifically what, but yeah.
I confess I've never said no to anything that would pay me very well. But I have said no to some short films that weren't going to pay me anyway.
But I did do a low budget film recently that was I was like, what did I really want to do? It was a horror thing, and I was like, but I have to tell you, I had the best time doing it. It was a lot of fun, and we shot it in Reno, and it was down and dirty. It was guerrilla filmmaking, and I was putting dirt on my own wardrobe, and at certain times but everybody was doing everything, and it was like, it was the wardrobe person was doing craft service, so it was just really, it was like, it made me remember how passionate I was when I started doing this, because all these people were busting their asses out in the heat, this hot desert, just to get this film made, and the passion and love for what they were doing was there, and I was like relishing it, and just it was wonderful to be around that. Desert Shadows.
All right, I think we got some hands up over here.
Hi. So I had a question for both of you, and that is, what is your favorite monster, or what is the monster you find the scariest from the X-Files?
David on a bad day. I'm kidding. That's a joke.
It's a good joke, though.
Gosh, I don't know.
I didn't, as the Smoking Man, I didn't deal with monsters that much. So I don't know. I don't know what monster.
Throw some monsters out. What were some of them? I can't. It's like I thought the Peacock brothers and their mom from under the bed were pretty creepy.
Yeah, that's pretty awful. Yeah.
You just seen those dudes walking around the lot. It was pretty hilarious.
Speaking of walking around the lot, do you remember in the first movie, and there were these aliens from some other world, and they were sort of blinded.
Yeah.
And they had sort of little matchsticks kind of sticking out of their eyes so they could see a little bit.
Yeah.
Then their shot was delayed for hours. So they were walking around this set for like 10 hours or something.
Bumping into each other.
Awful, awful. It was, So they were pretty bad, but...
It was funny when we did, what was the one that David, no, that was Hollywood AD, I think, with all the zombies, where they were shooting the zombie. Well, my daughter Sawyer, she was just a little girl at the time, and my wife brought her to set when they were filming that, and these people, all these zombie type people are walking around, and my daughter's looking at him, just go, "Daddy, they're not pretty, are they?" No, baby, they're not. It was funny watching her reaction to a lot of, because she grew up on the set and she saw everything. She was around all that stuff, and maybe that's why she's wants to go into special effects makeup, or has gone into special effects makeup, which is pretty cool.
So going back to the question of do you believe, real quick, obviously there's different categories of things. You guys covered the do you believe in aliens thing, but ghosts, cryptids.
Yes.
To all?
Yeah. Why not?
Well, because there's no evidence, and if they did exist, then everything we
stick in the mud,
think we know
Bill,
about physics would be not valid. But you imagine, but never mind.
Hi. Is there a location that you've been to, either to shoot a movie or whatever, and you wanted to go back and visit later that you've had a chance to yet, or will want to go to?
I just shot a movie down in Puerto Rico not long ago, and we were shooting pretty much every day and on a really hot set, and I didn't really get out to see much of the island, and I wish I had been able to, and I'd like to go back, because San Juan was beautiful, and the people are amazing. They just were phenomenal. Our whole crew was Puerto Rican, and it's one of the best crews that I've worked with. So I'd like to take my wife and go back and visit Puerto Rico. And always Vancouver. Always Vancouver.
So maybe I'm trying to decide whether to say Costa Rica, where I did a movie in Costa Rica, which was pretty interesting. Fortunately, I didn't have to do the jungle scenes, which were apparently horrendous. But the place that was the most magical for me was when, again, the first X-File movie was being which was said supposed to be the Arctic or the Antarctic, I can't remember. But this huge glacier up north of Pemberton in BC, and which is probably melting as we speak. But it was just this vast expanse of ice in midsummer, and it was an amazing place to be. We had to helicopter in to get there. Yeah, it was great.
Hi, I just had a question. Sorry. Just wondered, was there any like fooling around or practical jokes on the set?
Fooling around? What are we talking about?
Okay. That you can talk
I married
about?
Jillian's photo double, so I guess, yeah, there was some fooling around.
Yeah. Practical jokes, that sort of thing? Or is it pretty strict?
If you go back and watch, no, don't go back and watch the gag reels. There's some stuff that, oh boy, we get in trouble nowadays. We did some of the stuff we did back then.
Oh, don't look at me. I wouldn't do this. I don't do stuff like that.
And was there any ad-libbing, or was it pretty close to the script?
I think we stuck pretty close to the script. They were not that they beat us up about it, but you know, the words were all there. So
sometimes when we would do something, you know, at the end of a scene, I can't remember a particular one at the moment to quote you, but you know, where there's the cut, but there's what would be said right after that. That sometimes was kind of interesting or kind of fun, and so sometimes you would throw that in, and maybe they would keep it, and maybe they wouldn't. But so in that sense, there might be a little ad-libbing. I guess.
I know that when we did Triangle, and we played the German characters, I got the script, and I had gone to school in Germany for several years, went to university, and so I spoke pretty good German for a while. I've lost most of it, but I got the script, and it was in the stuff that Skinner was when he in German, the German Skinner. It didn't make any sense. It made absolutely. It was just gibberish. And I said to Chris, I said, what is this supposed to? What am I supposed to be saying here? Because this doesn't mean anything. And he goes, well, you know. And then he told me what he wanted me to say. I said, okay, do you want me to translate and put that into German? And so I actually got to translate, you know, put into German what I was supposed to be saying, and then so that was kind of fun.
Danke.
Bitte. Ich danke Ihnen vielmals.
Okay, hi, over here.
Hi.
Hi.
Sorry, Havana. Sorry, Savannah. Jeez.
Story of my life.
Oh, prickly. Just kidding.
I wanted to say thank you. I think I've thanked you both before, but this show is the reason I'm going to school for forensic psychology, and like I unfortunately wasn't alive when it first came out, but I discovered it years later because of my mom. It's because of you guys, and I'm going to school for what I'm doing. But
bless you.
my question is from Dita. She says hi. She wants to know, Mitch, if you can talk about your role in Supergirl at all.
I don't think I can.
I'll send her a text and let her know.
Yeah. I mean, there's some stuff that there was a woman up in that was off hanging around the set taking pictures and putting on her Twitter account, you know, what the scenes were about and stuff like that, which really pissed me off.
That's annoying.
And it's
That's
really
really
not cool
annoying.
to do that. So
I'm sorry
and
for that.
they wanted to keep the character under wraps as much as they could. I mean, they had me walking around in this big coat just to cover my garb, but garb. But anyway, it was fun. It's a really fun role, and I had a great time doing it. Whether I'll be any good at it, I don't know. But it was fun working on the set. They beat the shit out of me, and but I had a great stunt double. So they beat him up even worse.
So, you guys are
God
amazing.
bless him. Thank you, darling.
I got a quick question. Was there any time that you kind of stood up for your characters during any of the taping or filming of X-Files where you said to Chris Carter, like, I don't think my character would do that? Did you ever kind of, or did you just kind of stick with it?
Right.
Oh, I did.
You did? Okay.
Oh, we had a biggie.
Good.
We had a biggie. But he was more or less on my side, actually. When we first saw the script for Musings of a Cigarette Smoking Man, which contradicted a whole bunch of things that had already been established in the show. And I guess Glenn Morgan hadn't watched season 3. So there was a lot of information in there. But the main thing that we agreed on, and the Glenn Morgan and James Wong did not agree on, was they wanted me to actually kill Froike at the end of that episode. Well, I shoot, and I actually, in their version, shot him. So that's the main Lone Gunmen, whole thing gone forever. And Chris quite rightly protected it. And I protected it in a way because I didn't see why I would do. Well, no, I could have done that. I guess I could have done that. I being the smoking man. Well, yeah, why not? Why not? Yeah, actually. Why? Chris, I think we should reshoot that. But there was quite a controversy over that issue. And
Anybody got another question out there? Oh, there we go. Go ahead.
William B. Davis, how did you end up being the father of Skinner? Or no, not Skinner. Sorry.
Plot twist.
Oh, you didn't know about that?
Dang it! I knew I was missing something.
The father of Spender. Is it Spender? Is that his name? Yes. Okay. And Mulder, and then William. That was totally confusing.
Yes.
I mean,
He's
really.
prolific.
Well, I mean, the Spender thing is pretty straightforward, I think. I mean, I was married. My wife, by the way, is another tail end or lost thread of the story because she's up there with the aliens. She was taken up there on the first movie, and we haven't heard from her since. So, and I haven't had apparently any interest in finding out.
Man, you and me both. I don't know what happened to my wife either.
So I assume that's what happened with Spender. As for being Mulder's father, I blame you guys again. Because the fans started on that, thinking, what if the smoking man was really Mulder's father? Because, we had in Talitha Kumi, we had this little thing with this little scene I had with Mrs. Mulder where we joked about Mulder's father, Mr. Mulder, and I talked about his water skiing and how he was a good water skier, but not as good as I was, which could be said about a lot of things. And that sort of planted a seed, but yeah, okay.
More ways than one.
Planted an idea, and somehow it just kind of snowballed, I think. I don't know when Chris finally decided, okay, let's go with this, or just let's hint at it. I don't know, but finally they went with it.
Okay, now.
Oh, you want to know about William? Oh, yeah.
William, yes.
Yes, William, right. Well, you see, it's this way. There was a scene in which some DNA was passed from Mulder to me or something. Remember that?
No.
What episode was that? Remember lying on this board in this hospital room.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Yeah, sounds good. I don't know. I don't know if that had anything to do with it. But we were... and then... Oh, yeah. I don't know.
And then William happened.
Talk to me next week. Try me next year. I'll think about it before next year.
Next thing I wanted to say, when I've been following you guys since the beginning, when my children, who were 3 and 4 at the time, heard the X-Files theme, they would go running. Mommy's watching her scary show. So, yeah, they still...
And how old are they now?
They're 32 and 31. And they still bring that up to this day.
But did they run away from the...
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
They
yes,
went
right.
ahead.
Okay, good.
I started running away from that music after a while too. Nick Lee and I did a press junket throughout the UK and France and Spain, every venue that we went to sign at, we would walk in and they'd be playing that music, and I love the music. It's great, but after a while, it was like, dude, and they would play it through it the whole time we were there, and it was like, finally, it was like, oh man, turn it off. So anyway.
Again, thank you guys for coming. It's the first time I've seen you in person.
Thank you.
I got another question.
I'm going to answer a question that has not been asked.
Oh, there we go.
Because nobody's bringing it up. Because you haven't asked me about my book.
Hey, what about your book, Bill?
Yeah, here you have a book. Tell us all about it.
Well, I've only got 3 of them left actually here, but the only reason I bring it up is because people keep thinking that I'm some kind of American.
Sorry.
Don't take that personally.
Horrible thing.
No, there's lovely Americans.
There are lovely Americans. Somewhere.
Here we go.
Busted your chops.
Here we go. But I wrote a book, a memoir, and a lot of it is about Southern Ontario. And that's why I bring it up to this group, because that's where I grew up. That's where my initial theater activity was. So there's quite a lot about the development of Canadian theater in Southern Ontario. And even in this town, there's a theater called the Grand Theater. You probably know some of it. And it used to be a very high-end community theater with a professional director. And when I was doing summer stock in Ontario, we hired Peter Deering from the Grand Theater to come and direct for us in our theater. So a lot of kind of history that connects, that might be of interest to this community. That's all. Okay.
Go ahead.
Actually, that's a great lead-in to my question. Would either one of you consider returning to stage, live theater?
Well, I started doing stage, and I recently, about a couple years ago, at 25 years, it had been 25 years between being on stage, but about 2 or 3 years ago, I did a play down in Austin. And that was the theater that I really started acting at back in the early 80s. I love doing theater. It's great. It's hard. It's long hours, but it's great to be able to get up and play a character throughout the whole course of the play. So yeah.
I'm a pretender here. I'm not really an actor. I'm really a theater director, and I mean that. That's really what I do, and what I love to do, and what I do mostly. I recently directed a production of The Cherry Orchard, and I'm preparing a production of Look Back in Anger as we speak. So as an actor, I haven't been back on stage too often, but I've done a bit. But I'm directing on stage as much as I can.
Thank you.
Anybody else got a question out there? If not, I'll ask an obvious one, to me anyway. Is there any chance that there might be another future event series, mini-series, one-off movie? No way. Damn. Not the answer I wanted to hear, but that's okay.
I think we're done. Jillian's done. Jillian's she's pretty much spending most of her time in England. Her family's there, her kids are there, and it's hard for her to really. I mean, when she came and did the 2 last special event seasons, I guess you call them, it was hard for her to be away from her kids for that long. So and she learned that this last time, and it just it's just too tough for her. So, and I get it.
Fair enough. Now, do you keep in touch with for both of you, the cast? Do you ever obviously at conventions and stuff like that happens, but is there anybody from the cast that you've kept in touch with since, like that you grew a relationship?
Well, we're forced on each other on a regular basis.
There we
go. I'm kidding. No, we're not really forced.
I know.
I love you.
I know.
I love you.
I know.
Okay.
Rivals.
David and I are in touch all the time, and Nick Lee and I are still very, very close. So, He just had little girls, two twin girls, and I'm so happy for him. And he just started working on something. I don't know if I can say what it is, but it's a great project for him. So yeah.
For me, it's been Tom Braidwood, Froicky. I'm glad I didn't kill him because, speaking of directing, he was actually the first AD on X-Files in the first 3 years, maybe 5 even. But he was the original first AD, and so when I started doing some film production, he worked for me as my first AD, and so we've worked together on a number of projects in film and television. Chris Owens, I keep in touch with sporadically. I'm trying to think who else. I don't know, probably others, but yeah, some.
Now, you mentioned Supergirl, but any future projects, whether it's directing theater or any other TV shows, any future projects coming up that we should know about?
Well, what happens with TV projects now is the first thing they do when they cast you is you sign a release saying you will not say a word about it. And they never they never take you off that release. So even though the show has been playing for several years, you're still not allowed to talk about it, as far as I can tell. But maybe I pushed that a little too far. But anyway, I did a series, a comedy series for a streaming network that you might have heard of. And maybe it hasn't been released yet, and maybe it won't be. I don't know. And then yeah, that's about all I could say about that.
That was vague, but it's good. And you, Mitch?
Right now I'm recurring on NCIS. I'm recurring on Nathan Fillion's show, The Rookie. I'm recurring on Supergirl. Recurring on American Horror Story.
I thought you'd retired. You said you were giving it a lot.
I was trying to retire, man. Jesus, it's like my agent keeps calling me, dude. I don't want to. I'm tired. I'm old. You just woke me from my nap.
Now, Mitch, you're also known for Shocker as well. What if somebody came up with an idea of a reboot of that somehow? I don't know how it could work. Anything can work in movies, but if they were to do maybe a reboot or a reimagining of that movie, would you be involved at all?
Without Wes, I
that's
don't
true.
know.
Yeah.
Without Wes, because he was such a big part of everything, and yeah, I don't know. I certainly, not the character. If they did, maybe just a kind of a cameo, some, TV repairman in the background, something
it's like
goofy.
a little cameo.
Yeah, just something like that. But I can't imagine that they, yeah.
Personally, that character scared the shit out of me.
He was so goofy, though.
I was so young when I saw it. I was maybe not so young, maybe about 9 or 10 when I saw it. So it came off as very scary to me. To watch it now, I enjoy the character more. But as a kid, I don't know. There was something about also the VHS box work or whatever, just scared the crap out of me. Every time I saw that cover, I'd just be like, no.
Well, that's good. It's good to know. I have to tell you, I had so much fun doing that movie and playing that character because I got to be as over the top as I wanted to be, and even more so because Wes kept yelling from off camera, more, make it bigger, do more, say this. Oh my God, Wes, Jesus, my career is going to be over, and it hasn't even started. But I can't watch it. I just have a hard time watching it because it's so. Scenery chewing is just, insane.
Yeah.
But boy, it was sure fun doing it.
Good to hear because it was fun to watch later on when I was.
And it's funny because as the years have gone by, it's got this cult following and it's become it's more popular now than it was when it.
Yeah, the re-release of it on Blu-ray, it really had a second life to it with I guess the Scream Factory. They with all their special features and all that stuff. They kind of all these movies that you haven't heard of in a long time. Make you want to go out and buy it again.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I remember I was after the electrocution scene and the speech or the the speech that he has, and Michael Murphy was playing, Pete Berg's adoptive father, as it turns out, and I can remember Pete told me later on they were there because they were in there sitting in the witness gallery watching me get executed, and he's got this Horace Pinker has this just insane speech before they throw the switch, and, and Pete told me that Michael Murphy turned to him at one point and said, "Man, he really gets into it, doesn't he?" Because I think it was like, yeah, it was fun. It was crazy.
That was your big break. That
was pretty much, yeah. That really, walking into a room and meeting Wes Craven, and then walking into a room and meeting Chris Carter were the two biggest moments of my career. So
there you go. Two important people in your life, I
Very.
guess. Right on.
Wouldn't be
Anybody
here.
got a question? We'll be wrapping it up soon. Okay. Oh, there you go. You got a mic and everything. Fantastic.
One of the big ones that was on. For anything that's on TV right now, is there a show on right now that you would love to be taking part in?
Oh, there's a lot of stuff on like on Netflix and Amazon. I love Ozark, the series Ozark with Jason Bateman and Laura Linney. I think it's just wonderful. But stuff like that. That's what I've told my agents to really gear my career towards now. If I can do stuff like that, that's what I'd really like to do.
Why don't you do something on Glow?
I love Glow. Glow's that's a great series. That's one of my faves. Yeah, it's wonderful. What made you say that?
Oh, because
you watch it?
Yeah, we love it.
Great,
yeah.
Isn't it good?
And I could just see you being thrown down on the mat.
We're sitting here
and all
talking
this
to each
other
other
stuff.
at microphones, and we're 2 feet away from each other.
Yeah, Glow.
No, the throwing down stuff. No, I don't know, but I think it's a great series. But there's some really good stuff out there.
Yeah.
Anybody else? I think. Yep. There we go.
Okay, so you guys have said that there's not going to be another X-Files movie or series, but what about the Lone Gunmen? Would you guys be interested in doing a spin-off movie off of that?
I did that.
Joining?
I did that.
Well, I know you did the series, but I'm talking like a movie.
Well, I always thought there should be a spin-off from the Syndicate. This was around the time of the Golden Girls, and I was thinking, we should have the Golden Men, and we gather around.
Wrong time. Wrong era. It's funny because when I found out that they were doing the spin-off, the Lone Gunmen, I was like, they're spinning off the Lone Gun. They're getting their own series. And I went to Chris and go, what about me? What about Skinner? And he looks at me and goes, what would it be about? And I was like, I have no idea. But what about me? Couldn't even imagine. A series about Skinner, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, your
Thanks,
rookie
guys.
years, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know.
No, but we could do a Skinner Smoking Man, kind of like Sherlock Holmes and Moriarty.
Yes.
We could really develop an ongoing sequence, and then after we retire, other actors will take over our parts.
Exactly.
And it'll go on and on and on.
Which will be very soon. Anybody else? You had a question. Do you have a question? You have a question.
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. You both are famous now, and
we're not.
looking back, what started your careers? Like, when did you decide that I'm going into to be an actor? What actually moved your career forward? What was this event? Something that is, you can say, this is a pivotal event in my life that actually moved me ahead.
Well, for me, it was my senior year of high school. I played football and I wrestled and I took a chorus class just because all the girls were in chorus and I thought it'd be an easy grade. So I just kind of went in and to be a goof and sit back in the bass section with the other guys and goof off but I could sing. But my teacher didn't know it. The lady who ran the class didn't know it. And but they were getting ready to do the casting for the musicals, and they were doing West Side Story. And I'm sitting in the back of the class one day, and she calls me up, and I'm like, whoa, what? So I get up there, and she says, I want you to sing Maria. And she goes, I understand you can sing. And I go, no, I can't sing. She goes, yeah, well, I hear you can. Because my girlfriend and all the other girls told her that I could sing. So anyway, she starts playing Maria, and I started singing it. And she got about 2 bars in, and she just stopped. And I ended up playing Tony on West Side Story. So that lady just recently passed away, but I've been in touch with her since 1969. And she was huge in my life. And I owe so much to her. That day that she called me up to the front of the class was I wouldn't be here if that hadn't happened.
My cousins, Murray and Donald Davis, ran a theater in Toronto called the Crest Theater for many years. And before they did that, they were running a summer stock company in Gravenhurst and Port Carling called the Straw Hat Players. And as it happens, they rehearsed in our basement, in our house in Forest Hill in Toronto, because they had nowhere else to rehearse before they moved north. And one year they were doing a play called Portrait in Black, and it had a boy in it. And I was pretty much the closest boy around, because I was in the house where they were rehearsing. And I got good marks in oral reading, so I guess they thought I'd be okay. And that, from the rest is history, as they say.
Thank you.
I think we have time for maybe one more. Oh, up here. There you go.
Thank you again. So I had another question that might be a little bit harder than the last one that I asked, which is...
That was hard enough.
What is your favorite unsolved crime from real history?
For real?
Yes, that you know of.
I don't know, was the Black Dahlia still unsolved? That always kind of piqued my interest. Yeah.
I have to think about that one. I don't have an answer right away.
You had a question. You were. That was painful. It was painful going through all those TVs and jumping through that stuff. But thank you.
In reflection, do you have any? Sorry. In reflection, season 8 and 9, when the character of John Doggett and Monica Reyes, that whole arc. I know it's divisive among fans, but do you have any reflections on his introduction and those 2 seasons working with Robert Patrick?
You know, when Robert came in, we were starting to flag pretty much. We were running out of gas, I think, and he came in with this tremendous energy that Robert has, if you've ever met Robert, and it really kind of recharged us and gave us kind of another, a lift and that we needed. So it was that he definitely brought that. He was a lot of fun to hang out with, and he's I hope you get to meet him sometime if you haven't. He's pretty wild. And Annabeth I just adored. So I still adore her, and it was always great working with her, and we made. There's another person that I maintain contact with is Annabeth. So, yeah.
I don't know how they expected the show to work without the cigarette smoking man. So I have nothing else to say about that.
Okay, we got one last question here, and then if you have any other questions, you can always go up and to their table there, and they'll be more than happy to answer anything for you.
How do you both feel about being pioneers in the Canadian television industry? I mean, X-Files, that's the biggest one that started the industry in Vancouver.
It's cool to have been part of I don't think we're pioneers. Thank you, but.
There is a sense in which we were. which I can maybe speak to because I was there before you.
Okay.
Because
Rub it in.
it's amazing when you think about it. When I first started to do some film work in Vancouver, I remember one of the casting directors talking to me and a couple of other actors and saying, there's this movie coming in. It's a fairly big movie, and there'll be something for everyone. Meaning that all the actors in Vancouver would get cast in this movie, all 14 of us. So how it's changed since X-Files established it as a venue for production from everywhere is just amazing. It's just exploded from there. But it was quite simple when it started in the 80s, really. And I loved the dedication on X-Files in the early years, the willingness of everyone to do the extra, the focus puller to say, no, that wasn't the best, let's shoot that one again. And that set a tone for the crews in Vancouver in general, and I think that's helped the whole explosion that's happened since then.
No, I think you're absolutely right. You know, it's like you look back, and I mean, the things that I mean, you watch scenes where Jillian's, you know, talking and rain is just pouring out of her mouth while she's doing all just saying all this dialogue. So there was I mean there definitely was, and our crews were just absolutely fantastic, and they continue to grow. And like I say, there's over 40 productions going on there now. So it's in that respect, it was cool to have been part of something that really started that huge movement in Vancouver. And man, what a great city to be in and shoot. It was pretty glorious. Oh, cool.
Sweet. Okay, well, we'll wrap this up, and everybody give a round of applause for
Thank you all very
Mitch
much.
and William for coming out.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And they'll be upstairs at their table if you want anything signed or you want to chat with them. They'll be there and more than happy to answer your questions. So, anyway, thanks, guys.